With us, the Robben Island Museums condemned a charity auction that offered the winner a chance to sleep in Nelson Mandela's prison cell. Organisers of the annual CEO SleepOut are in hot water for promising what they called a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The museum spoke to my colleague Jeremy Meggs earlier on.
We were contacted by the CEO SleepOut Organisers. And furthermore, their proposal was submitted in March 2018, where their interest to make use of the maximum security prison was requested. We reviewed their proposal and ensued negotiations, from which a draft contract was then developed, but it was never finalized and agreed upon.
So initially you thought it was a good idea?
Initially. So once we found out about the auction of Mandela's cell, we reached out to the organisers to extend an opportunity for them to respond to these serious allegations. We were then informed that the PR agency had prepared a holding statement which would be shared with us, and we still have not received it yet. We alerted them about our intention to respond to this auction, given the reputational damage associated with such an act, as this doesn't resonate at all with our mandate as a World Heritage Site.
Why did you agree to the request in the first place, then?
We did not agree. We received this proposal on the 20th of.
But you also said to me that a contract was drawn up.
A draft contract which was drawn up, and the draft contract had made provision for the following: accommodation at the multi-purpose learning center for 67 people, ferrying of cargo, organisers and participants, access to the helicopter pad, the use of the prison field and the prison courtyard, ground transport on the island, and an inland tour. No exclusivity was on offer as outlined in the draft contract.
Was the Mandela cell issue ever discussed initially with CEO SleepOut?
It was never discussed, and it was never a consideration.
So when you heard that it was being auctioned, you would suggest then that you felt ambushed by it?
Correct.
So
because we received communication on the 20th of June to postpone the event to November 2018. Following that communication, the contract negotiations ceased, and there was no further interaction between Robben Island Museum and the philanthropic collection. Now, then, evidence suggests that the philanthropic collection continued to advertise the event, including an auction for Nelson Mandela's cell. Now, as far as Robben Island Museum is concerned, the auctioning of Mandela's cell was never a consideration.
So, when you put this to CEO SleepOut, that they had potentially jumped the gun, as you're suggesting, what did they say to you?
They said they'd share their holding statement with us and that the PR agency would get in touch.
But they've given you they've given you no formal explanation as why they have gone off their own bat, so to speak, and decided to auction the cell off.
No formal explanation. Everything that we are reading at the moment, we're reading it on the public domain. They haven't shared any media statement with us. We haven't received any explanation of why it was auctioned. Everything that we know, we found out through the public domain.
Who were you dealing with at the CEO SleepOut organisation?
We were dealing with Leanne. I can't remember her surname, but her name is Leanne, and she's the same person that I called on Wednesday to confirm this. Leanne McGowan.
And what is her position within the organisation? Do you know that, Mr. Ramabua?
Just hang on for me so I can confirm her position in the organisation. It says Chief Operations Curator, Leanne McGowan.
Have you since, again, I understand that you're waiting for this holding statement, but has anyone from your organisation picked up the phone to her and actually had this out and said that, they've got the wrong end of the stick and that you feel aggrieved by this?
We picked up the phone on Wednesday when we found out about this. And that's why we requested that they actually let us know what is happening. Is this true or not? And why it has been done.
Now, I'm looking at one report here which says the CEO SleepOut has apologized for planning to auction an opportunity to sleep in the cell on Robben Island. But listen to this very carefully. It maintains that it had an agreement with you to do so. You're rejecting that assertion this afternoon.
We are rejecting that. There was no agreement to auction or sleep in Nelson Mandela's cell.
Would anyone from the CEO SleepOut participating in that auction been allowed to have slept on Robben Island but not in Mr. Mandela's cell?
We had, in the draft contract, we had made provision for accommodation in the multi-purpose learning center for 67 people who were participating in the CEO SleepOut.
And that would have been
in addition...
Continue.
In addition, then they could use the prison field and the prison courtyard. Nowhere did we promise cells.
And that accommodation that you would have given the 67 people, would that have been in the normal course of events? In other words, have people slept there before? Would this have been a first time?
Absolutely. People have slept there before. People have made use of that facility.
Have you been contacted by the Mandela family in this respect?
No, we have not been contacted by the Mandela family.
And what action do you plan to take now, or do you believe that this is just a simple misunderstanding and that it's over?
At the moment, I cannot confirm what action we plan on taking. However, I'd like to reiterate that the auctioning of Nelson Mandela's cell was never a consideration in our contract negotiations.
But what you're also suggesting is that you are possibly considering further action.
I cannot confirm or deny that.
Have you taken legal advice in this respect?
Of course, in such a matter, we need to take such a route.
Do you plan to try and contact the chief executive of CEO SleepOut again at some point?
Should we contact them, it will certainly be through our legal representations.
What I find quite extraordinary, and again, I'm also looking at reports in the public domain here, but the CEO SleepOut Trust says it has an agreement with the museum that includes access to the maximum security jail cells and the auction of cell number 7. That would suggest that some sort of formal legal framework would have been entered into. You are not aware of any such agreement? We
are not aware of any agreement. In our last interactions with them, there was a draft contract, which was never finalized and agreed upon.
And I just need to clear up in my own head, that draft contract made no mention of a night in the cell.
That is correct.